With the way he fooled Angela Deem for 7 years, Michael Ilsamy, the star of 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, may just be the best con artist reality TV has ever seen. 34-year-old Michael from Nigeria made his television debut alongside Georgian Angela in 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 Day Season 2, the six's grandmother had previously married a man for 3 years, and the two of them had grown daughters. It was a terrible experience for Angela to marry her first love. She'd never planned to marry again, but as Michael entered her life, her entire perspective shifted. After 3 years, Angela wants to get her second marriage dissolved. She had originally intended to bring Michael to the United States on a K-1 visa, but after he was turned down, a spousal visa allowed him to enter the country in December 2023. Michael alleges that he was abused by Angela during his 2 months of residence in Hasselhurst. Angela believed Michael was missing after he left her without notifying her, but he had really recently moved to Texas to start over. Now that he wants a divorce, Michael believes Angela will be there for him forever. In 2017, Michael and Angela connected on Facebook. Michael was the one who sent Angela a friend request, which ignited their romance. Michael never shared his side of the tale, including how he found Angela's profile and whether or not she was one of the website's suggested friends. But Angela had seen that Michael was friends with a number of other American ladies. It's possible that Michael deliberately looked for profiles of older American women he thought he could date and travel to the country to marry. He even texted Angela something inane. "Hey there, you look lovely today. Have a nice morning." Michael wished Angela a nice morning and said she looked pretty. Angela was clearly in need of attention badly. Though she didn't know him, she thought his profile photo was cute. The image in question showed Michael without a shirt, his headphones in, and his shirt flung carelessly over his shoulder. It didn't appear that Michael, 30, was in the photo. It made him appear considerably younger. But he had knew exactly how to make Angela feel a connection with him. Michael kept a poor me expression on his face, which allowed him to get away with doing a number of dubious things. Though she chastised him for being skeptical on multiple occasions, she accepted all of his justifications. With his justifications, Michael had been deceiving Angela from the beginning. More recently, he made an attempt to explain to her that men similar to him who were awaiting the approval of their visas belonged in his Paradise Men WhatsApp group. He was undoubtedly lying, though, because he had also met a woman named Cheetah through the organization. When Michael disclosed the purpose of his conversation with Cheetah, he was also exposed as a liar. On 2 instances, he related 2 distinct stories. He told Angela's private investigator that Cheetah had gotten in touch with her since her mother was submitting an application for a K-1 visa. Angela mentioned that she was unaware of Cheetah's mother. "You mentioned it was her spouse," Angela continued. Given that Michael claimed in his ET interview that Cheetah is a member of the group, it's interesting to note that it does seem like he is lying about the animal. Here is her spouse. She simply stays here. It's thought that Angela forced Michael to resign from his work and stay at home so she could watch over him. She had assumed that keeping Michael at home would deter him from straying, therefore she didn't want him chatting to other women. Along with benefits like cameos and social media brand endorsements, Angela and Michael received financial compensation for the show. Their income came from that, and it appeared that Angela was providing Michael his fair share. But Michael was avaricious and demanded more. He desired large sums of money as well as side relationships. In 90 Day Fiancé, Everlasting Happiness, Michael created an Instagram account and utilized it to communicate with random female users. Because of his infidelity, Michael's usage of social media was another thing that Angela disliked. He made an attempt to persuade her that he was utilizing Instagram to become an influencer and supplement his income. Michael tried forcing Angela to give him $5,000 so he could erase Instagram when she refused to listen. It was just one of the few times Michael was seen on tape requesting money from Angela. It's possible that he was using her as a pawn every time he was discovered engaging in inappropriate behavior. One cannot ignore the abuse Michael received from Angela. Viewers have seen that she has been treating him cruelly for years. But Michael also took advantage of Angela's rage. Sometimes it felt like he was making fun of Angela. He was very skilled at playing her nerves, especially when they were in front of the camera. It didn't mean it was acceptable for her to be harsh, even when he was deceiving Angela and making her pretend to love him. Michael was aware of Angela's vulnerability, though. She was determined not to let their years-long relationship on television end in failure. Michael knew that no matter how much she yelled at him, Angela would bring him to the United States. It's untrue that Michael only conned Angela because she mistreated him. He's thinking about money and celebrity. He is willing to go to any lengths to secure a lucrative source of attention, as he has been trying to accomplish. It won't be long before Michael can keep up with the act. All he has to do is locate another weakling who will succumb to his seduction and become his next victim. In 90 Day Fiancé's Happily Ever After, Season 7, Michael gave the impression that he was concerned about Angela, yet he hadn't even bothered to check on her as she healed from a potentially fatal surgery. For Michael, Angela desired to reduce her weight. She never cared about wanting to be attractive to herself. When Michael arrived, she refused to let him go in favor of a younger American woman because she wanted to appear younger. Michael never seemed to care that she utilized Botox and other cosmetic procedures to make him happy. It was him who failed to provide her with the attention she desired. Michael announced his opposition to Angela's weight loss treatment after learning that it featured breast reduction. Perhaps the only thing about Angela that Michael appreciated was that he didn't want her to change. In order to satisfy Michael, Angela had to get breast implants. She tried to keep the marriage intact, but he was continuously ignoring her. Angela was doing everything in her power to keep Michael happy and from wandering. Her caustic nature, nevertheless, ultimately served to hide every one of Michael's shortcomings. Even though he knew that Angela's advanced age made having a child unlikely, Michael nevertheless desired a child from her. Attributing it to his family's desire for him to have children of his own, he said that Angela was left with little choice but to ask her daughter Skyla Deem if she could bear Michael's child on her behalf. Michael recommended that Skyla marry a younger lady who could bear him a child, but Skyla put her foot down. Michael was pressuring Angela to become pregnant with his child. He even suggested that she think about IVF. When Angela chose to have bariatric surgery rather than IVF, Michael was not happy. Michael may have believed that if Angela had his child, she would never revoke the visa even if it took a long time to resolve their differences. This is because his visa was not being approved. He would have been more hopeful that Angela would persist in her efforts to bring him to the United States if they had a child together. Michael is free to date whomever he wants to have a child with now that Angela is in the past. Michael was the only one who had access to Angela's Instagram account. Even their profile photos could be found on her at Angela page, which was intended to be a combined couple's account. Angela forced Michael to remove any Instagram posts he attempted to create, or worse, she even requested followers to flag them as fraudulent. Since Angela asked people to report a page at babacake26_ in 2019, stating it was someone impersonating Michael, the pages appeared to belong to him. Michael sought to persuade Angela to allow him to use social media by opening many accounts. Angela was aware that Michael still wanted it to be able to connect with other women. When he was discovered to be unfaithful to her in 2022, Michael said he was simply teasing her out of boredom. He claimed that the flirtation was pointless and that all he wanted was to be happy. Any adulterer would have used that as a reason to control their spouse, but Angela persisted in thinking Michael would eventually come around. He had the opportunity to stay in contact with a few of his Instagram pals, with whom he can now socialize in the United States. After he arrived in America, Michael began exacting revenge on Angela. It was time for him to flee and never look back, and he only stayed with her until they could shoot the tell-all. Michael took advantage of the tell-all to expose Angela's treatment of him. By engaging a private investigator, Angela believed she might reveal Michael's true nature, but it ultimately worked to Michael's advantage. The detective was able to demonstrate that Michael was not deceiving or cheating on Angela, but the only proof they had was Michael's 2-year-old social media references. It's not as though he had hacked into Michael's WhatsApp account or phone to see what the Paradise Man pals were talking about or where his piggy bank funds were being spent. After the detective cleared his name, Michael was able to win over more viewers and nearly all of the cast members. Michael had been using his phone to look out life insurance for senior citizens. He said it was just a browser ad, but Michael could have only seen a relevant ad if he had done a prior search on the subject. He was never quite sure why he was searching for insurance information or why he had pictures of Angela's tax returns on his phone, which he seemed to be emailing to another person. Michael was an adept gaslighter, thus he succeeded in his intentions even though he knew exactly what he was doing. Had it not been for Angela, he might have taken advantage of another American woman. Michael would not have been able to participate in 90 Day Fiancé if it weren't for Angela. Given that Angela came up with the idea to appear on the show, Michael may not have even desired recognition at first. But Michael was now famous from reality TV and got a green card because of Angela. In June 2024, Angela submitted an annulment request. In August 2024, Michael started his GoFundMe campaign. Although Michael claimed to require the funds for legal fees, how come he didn't launch his fundraising campaign in June? Michael was waiting to see if he would appear weak with the tell-all. Michael was aware that Angela appeared hideous at the reunion, and he knew that the fundraiser would bring in thousands of cash from his millions of admirers throughout the globe. Even more, Michael had projected that he would be able to get in excess of $50,000. That was the aim he had set for himself. After noticing that followers were debating why he required so much money, Michael revised the limit to $25,000. Michael possesses a varice. After his romance with Angela ends, if he still doesn't receive what he wants, the 90 Day Fiancé, happily ever after, star will soon expose another dishonest way to hustle in the United States.